this year, we kind of wanted to talk around how the implementation has actually gone and some of the lessons learned and how we've been able to move forward with this project. So we've decided to go for a Star Wars theme to help tell our story, which is why this presentation is called Research Costing Episode 2. It's our second episode now, A Rise of a New Costing Era. So in 2019, BlackDackel was selected as the new costing tool at the University of Manchester. There were many warring factions who all wanted the new costing tool to do many different things. A team of rebels set out to gather artifacts such as requirements and embarked on the task of implementing a new costing tool into the community. Some things went well, a few things didn't, but the rebels vowed to reflect to ensure any future launches of the tool didn't fall into the same trap.
Meet the team. I'm Malc Brown. This is Johannes Ferber, the product owner of BlackDackel itself. And this, as you will have guessed, is Princess Traceyanne Sinclair, our business change manager and subject matter expert. So we wanted to break down this short presentation, and in fact, these will all be the films from Star Wars, which I'm sure you will recognise, Star Wars geeks. Attack of the Clones, the integrations between Pure and BlackDackel, A New Hope, the start of a new project with the potential to change everything, and has changed everything. The Empire Strikes Back, which will be Johannes, a soft launch of BlackDackel and problem solving, and then The Rise of Skywalker, reflection on what we've learnt as we move into this new costing era.
Okay, so Attack of the Clones. The University of Manchester procured BlackDackel as our research costing tool. And for those who don't work in research costing or finance or anything, what we mean by a research costing tool is a system which allows us to calculate research costing for funders for grant applications. So it allows our research services teams to put together some costings so we can then submit them to our funders. And it will include things like inflation, overheads of PI, staff costs, and we submit them to people like our UK funding bodies and also people like the European Commission. So what we wanted to do is give you a little bit of an overview of how Pure and BlackDackel interact and how you can clone a project from Pure into BlackDackel. So what the user does, they'll go into Pure, they'll create their project application in Pure, and then they'll switch on a really snazzy toggle that was kind of purpose-built for this product. And that allows us to create a brand new project in BlackDackel. So it emulates the same project information that you've input into Pure. And then what the user can do is click on a URL within the actual Pure record and open up the BlackDackel project. The user can then create the costing directly in BlackDackel model. Once they're ready for it to be sent for approval, they'll switch another toggle on in BlackDackel, and then it will migrate all the information to do with the cost headings back into the Pure application itself. So we were really happy with this new integration because it allowed a more streamlined workflow. There wasn't manual intervention from the user to have to update any of the cost headings. And our users were really happy with this brand new functionality. That's something that we are really, really proud. And we worked really well with BlackDackel and with Pure to kind of get this seamless integration kind of up and running. So now you kind of know how the integration works and where we've been with the project. Now Malc is actually going to talk around what the project's done and where the project's going to be today.
Okay, so you will, from now on, you're going to see quotes, direct quotes from the film. And I should say there'd be a prize if you could say which film they quoted for, but have a guess. Hello there. So the project started in August 2019. Now there was some time before that as we were going through system selection and requirements gathering. The negotiations were short. We had a short list. We whittled it down to 3 potential candidates, Unit 4, Work Tribe and BlackDackel. And we landed on BlackDackel. The university needed an elegant weapon for a civilized age. up until that point, the university was relying solely upon PFAT. Now, PFAT had been there for 10, 15 years, and by the time the project was getting going, it was unsupported. And there was lots of different the parts of the university were doing costings in their own particular way. There was nothing standardized. Hence the reason for the elegant weapon. In my experience, there's no such thing as luck. There was an excellent project team put together, consisting of different parts of the university, ranging from subject matter experts to finance, to IT, and we made sure that the team worked in an elegant way. That led to July 2021. I was just checking because we had a typo there before. It was definitely July 2021, so just over a year ago. The temptation was to go with a big bang. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. So thankfully, we pulled back from doing the big bang and we did a soft launch. The soft launch wasn't quite as soft as it was badged, because it went to 100 users who do costings day in, day out. So that's quite a significant number. But from our perspective, we could have gone to the whole university. We didn't. And this is a lesson learned. Hopefully, none of us will ever learn this lesson again in our lifetime. These aren't the droids you're looking for, the trials of COVID. So hopefully, we will never have to deal with a pandemic. But we were developing the system, working with BlackDackel during a pandemic, and we went live during a pandemic. Not to be recommended. You want to go home and rethink your life. I love that quote. Said by Obi-Wan to what do you call them? The ones in white. Stormtrooper. I should know this. I did it. So we wanted and needed to learn lessons from the soft launch. There were significant impacts on not only processes in the university, but also on people. And from that soft launch, we then took a number of lessons leading up to where we are currently, which is about to go to the wider university, to the academic community with the costing tool, all of which came out of the lessons learned in our soft launch. Have you ever been afraid of the dark? How does it feel when you turn the lights on? It feels like that. Things are so much better. We now have a standard process. We now have people using the application in a sensible way. It's not been an easy journey, and Traceyanne will come on to and Johannes will come on to some of the bumps in the road. But from a project perspective, which is my perspective, I'm about to leave the project in December. Hurrah! So in my world, it would be goodbye, old friend, and may the force be with you. The project is now in safe hands, handing over to a dedicated research costing team headed up by Traceyanne. And after that, it's into the world of business as usual. Johannes, or I should say, Skywalker.
Yeah, so I wonder what I did to deserve the slide with all the issues and problems. So when users got their hands on the system for the first time with the soft launch, we learned a couple of lessons. And the thing with users is that, oh yeah, thank you. And the thing with users is that sometimes they can really get hung up. Not me. Can get hung up on seemingly minor issues, while at the same time they sometimes put up with things that kind of freak me out, and so there's some area of subjectivity involved, and you really don't know where you stand before you're rolling out a system to a substantial number of users. And in our case, those were the 100 first cohort users that Malcolm mentioned, just in the administration. So that's quite some scope. So I tried to compile a best of in the sense of like issues and let's say anecdotes that created some wave after the rollout, but really only showed up in production. So never tell me the odds. Why are figures a few cents off? That was very early on in production. We had that issue that if you would put in, let's say, £1,000 for some cost item into the system, the costs would be calculated depending on some circumstances and some conditions as, for example, £1,000.08 or something like that, leaving aside inflation and things like that. So there were a few cents off, and that is actually a problem known as the rounding dilemma that happens when you split monetary amounts across accounts or across time periods. In our cases, we needed to split them into cash flows and then sum them up again. And I don't know if anyone knows the movie Office Space with Jennifer Aniston. Yeah, exactly. Because it is about that. It's about those fractional cents, and they try to make some criminal business out of it, right? So that kind of irritated some users, and we needed to fix it. And we fixed it. You cannot really fix it completely, so to speak, mathematically, but we did it in a way that users don't notice it any longer. Then that's no moon, it's a space station. And in fact, just a couple of weeks after we went live, we found a user quoting for £100 million project with more than 300 staff on it. And as she added more and more resources to the project, we ran into performance issues. So we needed to kind of hand massage our database queries to get rid of that. Too many of them. What are we going to do? The pure integration that Traceyanne just described, as the number of projects grow in the system, that also created some strain on the pure interface, because we were using the kind of bulk XML-based interface to basically run continuously all the time, importing all those new projects and costings from BlackDackel to kind of simulate a real-time experience. And really credit to Elsevier, they worked with us very closely and very swiftly to devise and implement an updated interface to handle that. And going forward, I think we should be looking at the new and shiny write API that the Pure has now to even further improve on that. To defeat your enemy, you have to understand them. So BlackDackel comes with a number of reports. Some of those reports are funder specific, just the format that the funder wants to see for the budget. Some of those reports are institution specific. We implement them according to the customer specifications. And once those institution specific reports were in the system and users started using it, the feedback was they're confusing. And when we implemented them, we also kind of found them confusing, but then we were confused why they found it confusing. and we needed like a workshop with everyone at the table to sort that out. And then the last point here, user errors, that's maybe too strong. So as the system grows in functionality and scope, and we have like 6,000 projects to this date in the system, we have 8,500 funders, many of those industry partners, each with their individual or respective calculation template or calculation templates. We just spend more time thinking about usability, about in-system help, about tooltips, sane defaults, user input validation, useful error messages, and things like that. And as we are planning to roll out to academics next, this has really been a focus of our development over the past few months. Handing over for the last 4 minutes or so to Princess Traceyanne.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're in a position to kind of reflect on the project. We've got to the point where our main user base are kind of happy with the system, where we're starting to think about rolling out to academics and new cohorts. What we wanted to do is take a step back and just reflect on how this project's been, and if there are any lessons learned that we can bring to kind of future rollouts or future projects that we're working on when it comes to, I don't know, potential future integrations. So light, darkness, a balance. Obviously, lessons learned, they show positive things that have occurred and not so positive things that have occurred. So what I'll do is I'll quickly talk through some of the things that we've been able to use kind of going forward, and the things that we've taken on and made changes to when we've been rolling out to our new cohort. So you have failed me for the last time. Communication and engagement is not strong initially. So I think we weren't really sure kind of how best to communicate this change to users. And it's something that we weren't kind of very strong with at first as a project, but we've really learned our lesson with our academic rollout. So we've created a brand new academic advisory group, and they've been involved in a development cycle. And they're currently today, as we speak, they're currently working on a pilot of this new academic view of BlackDackel, and they're feeding back to us. So we've really learned our lesson to make sure that we get the communication right. We've evolved our communication strategy, and we have brand new comms campaigns as well. So it's something we've really developed over time. The scope of change not appreciated. So I think the business areas, some of those business areas didn't really realize the scope of change and some of the new processes and people that we needed to get involved. And that was something that we worked with as a project to understand, okay, this is a brand new change. Sometimes we need some new processes. What can we do to alleviate that? So we've now established a research costing tool team, which I'll be heading up. As of Tuesday this week, I started my new role, and we have some new staff, and we have a brand new function to support our users, which will really help us, especially going forward with our new academic rollout, because potentially in November, well, later on this month, we could potentially roll out to maybe 4,000 users. So, the scope is huge, and we really needed that function available for them. COVID and voluntary severance, as Malc said, you just never think you're going to be working in this type of world. And it really was a challenge. We lost a lot of skilled people due to voluntary severance, but what we've been trying to do is kind of fill those skill gaps, and then make sure that we have some new teams. I'll need to wrap up, but we've worked through some really good points, developing great relationships with Pure. We have buy-in from leadership. As Malc said, we've got a great project team, and we've been using our users as testing with our user acceptance testing and through our feedback cycle. So we've been really working hard to make sure going forward we're doing the right thing. And then finally, the kind of things that we want to be looking for in a new costing era. What is it they've sent us? Hope. We'd love to have some new additional integrations between BlackDackel and Pure, namely the awards. That's something that we don't have at the moment. That's manual. So it'd be great to have that integrated through the two systems. Make 10 men feel like 100, academic access. We're hoping that this access will improve transparency and streamline processes, and then make the jump to hyperspace. We're hoping that the BlackDackel workflows that actually exist in the system, which relate to costing and pricing policies and waivers, could potentially be available in the AAM module in Pure, so the approver can see it in one place, one-stop shop for all that information. And that's us. Thank you.